Hi and welcome to the next tutorial. Today we'll be looking at how to create a very simple infographic using very simple animation techniques in After Effects. So anyways guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a new background. So I'm just going to make sure that my background is gray and I'm just going to rename it background. So I'm gonna click off the background because the next thing I need to do is I need to click on the ellipse tool, and I'm just going to hold shift and draw a ellipse on my page, and I'm just going to align that in the center, and I'm just going to make that stroke for the ellipse so it's going to have no fill, and the stroke is going to be, let's say 50, and the color for that will be probably a lighter gray, so something like that. So this is now going to be called circle outer. So there's going to be two layers to the actual circle. So then I'm just going to duplicate that by pressing Ctrl D on my keyboard, and now I'm going to call this next circle layer the inner color. So now that we've got that, I'm just going to drop the stroke a little bit to maybe about 40 for the inner color, and don't worry too much about the color because what we are going to be doing is we are going to go to Effect, Generate, and we're going to create a gradient ramp, and we're going to make sure that we're on the inner layer. So now I'm just going to pick two colors. So I'm going to pick a light blue and a darker blue, just like that. And I'm going to set the ramp to start from about up here, and I'm going to end the ramp down there. Now you can move this around and get the gradient that you like, but I'm just going to stick to something like that. Now if you want to make the actual circle more prominent, what you can do is you can either drop the stroke down, or you can increase the size of the stroke on the outer. And so once you're happy with your values, then you can move on to the next part. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go into our circle inner and we need to add a trim path. So if I go in here and click trim path, now what this does is that if I animate this, you can see that I can get the animation to start already, and that's exactly what we want. But instead of animating that directly, what we are going to be doing is we are going to create a new null object, and inside of this null object we are going to go up to effects, we are going to go to expression controls, and we're going to add a slider control. Now once you have the slider control, so I'm just going to click down here and go into my effects, slider control. Now to get this set up, you need to make sure that you hold Alt and click on this stopwatch, which will bring up the expressions in After Effects. So we're just going to add this expression in. So it's going to be math dot round open bracket. Just going to delete that other bracket and just put it on the other side. Now this is just going to enable us to have whole numbers and no decimals later on when you see in the video what it is that we're actually going to do. So now once I've done that, I need to then go back into my inner circle, and I need to click on this little thing over here, which is the pick whip, and I'm going to click and drag it to my slider. Now this is just going to link those two things together. So now what I can do is I can now animate everything from this slider over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set an animation sequence for that. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch. I'm going to move forward in time, maybe like a second. And then I'm just going to bring it back up to 100. Now, so when I play that, I can see that I've got that bit of the animation working. So once I've got that little bit of animation happening, what I can do then is I can just make these keyframes easy ease, and now that will give some kind of acceleration and deceleration to that animation. So that's pretty cool so far. Another thing that we can do is on the inner circle, we can go into our stroke settings and we can just change the line cap from a butt cap to a round cap. And there you go. Now we've got that round cap there, and that's looking actually pretty nice. So the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some text in here. So I'm going to grab the T tool and I'm just going to draw on here, and I'm just going to write the number 0. Now I need to make sure that I go into my paragraph settings and make sure that I've centered that text, and then I can go into my line settings and I can align it to the middle of my document. So I'm just going to go back into here, into character, and I'm just going to make that number a little bit bigger, something like that, and then just realign it. So cool. So now I've got my number in there. And so now we need to animate that number as the bar is going and moving around. So what we need to do is we need to open up our text settings and we need to go into source text, and we can click on that pick whip and drag it to our slider as well. Now you can see here that as it's going up, the number is also increasing as well. Now if it doesn't fit on that screen, you're just going to have to bring that out a little bit and then put it back into the middle. Now if we didn't have this expression, the math.round, you will be able to see that it's not going to, you're going to have that decimal point there, and that's what we don't want. So that's why we need to have math.round in our expression to make sure that that works. But anyways, that's about it. All right, so now you can go and change the size of the actual bars and things like that. If you wanted to do what I did in the first bit of the video, all I did is I duplicated this, these two circles, changed the color, and then put individual controls, and I didn't hook it up to one slider value. So anyways guys, I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.